what's going on, Slime? Welcome back to the Battlefield 6 open beta. This is Sunday, so that means the open beta is going to be ending for weekend 1, but we do have weekend 2, so I thought today would be the perfect time to do my good things versus bad things about weekend 1 of the beta. We're going to have updates and a new map over in weekend 2, so I'll do a different video for the last day of weekend 2 as well. We're just going to play some Conquest while we do this, so I'm going to use the SMG, I guess. So the Battlefield 6 beta, especially for weekend 1, has been, no doubt, the most successful Battlefield beta we've ever had, and it's probably got the least amount of bugs out of every Battlefield beta that I've played, and I've played a majority of the Battlefield betas. I'd say this is probably just one of the least buggiest betas I've ever played for a shooter, at least. It's just, I'm not saying it's perfect and there's no bugs and no changes I would make, because there definitely is. It's like that with literally any game you play. There's going to be stuff you would change, and especially in the beta, there's going to be stuff that you would just rather not see or change. But all in all, for just like general thoughts, I think this is a decent Battlefield. Definitely the best Battlefield we've gotten in a while, that's for sure. Obviously setting the bar pretty low with saying it's better than Battlefield 2042, because a lot of people hate that game. I personally think that 2042, with the current updates it's experienced, is not that bad of a game at all anymore. I don't think it's the greatest Battlefield, but I don't think it's like the absolute worst. There's definitely some 2042 like aspects to this game for sure. But I think the aspects it does take are some of the better aspects. Like for instance, the gunplay in 2042 is some of the best gunplay I've experienced in Battlefield, and I've played at least 1,000 hours in the franchise, which yeah, is not the world's most, but I've played a decent amount. I do have like notes marked down, but that was just my general thoughts. If you just wanted to hear that, see if you should play the game with weekend 2, maybe you're skeptical of weekend 1, it's going to be free again. So now diving into like a deeper look at the things I wanted to talk about, looking at my notes, the first thing I have marked down is the gunplay, which I already talked about. The gunplay I think is really good. The sniping feels good. I personally think they could remove the sweet spot mechanic. It's not necessarily my favorite thing in Battlefields. It feels like it kind of gets rid of a little bit of the skill gap, since you can one shot from certain ranges, but I think if they keep it in, it's not going to be like the end-all be-all of, if it's in, I'm just never playing this game again or something like that, you know? Other than that, though, the guns all feel smooth. I know there is, like, not that much recoil, but if you played Battlefield 4, for instance, there's really not that much recoil in that game either. A lot of the guns do feel a little laser beamy, which I could understand is a completely understandable complaint. It's just that to an extent, that's just how Battlefield has been, is the guns are a little bit laser beamy. I mean, even in Battlefield 1, for instance, and Battlefield like 5, they're really not that hard to control. Even in Bad Company 2, the guns aren't that hard to control. It's not any insane recoil. That's never been a main allure to Battlefield. Has never been like, oh, the recoil is absolutely crazy, because it's just not. Also, as I'm sure you can see with your eyes, it obviously doesn't look as good as it does for me right now to you all, because it's through the YouTube video player, but this game looks great. It absolutely is stunning, especially for on console. It still looks stunning, and this is on performance mode, by the way, on console, so these are probably like low, maybe medium settings, and from looking at footage of this game on low settings, it also just looks great still, even on low settings. Just all around, this is a really great game, and a part of that is the fact that, unlike Call of Duty, they made it so this game is only on, I guess, would you even call it next gen anymore? I'd say it's probably current gen now. Current gen consoles. It's not on the PS4. It's not on the Xbox One. It's only on the newer Xboxes and the PS5, which really does wonders for the way it looks. I mean, just look at this. This is beautiful, bro. This game is beautiful. I don't care. The game also runs great as well. It just does. The game has not been dropping in frames exponentially for me over here on console. It hasn't been like frame lagging a shit ton or anything like that. It's just been a pretty all-around smooth experience, if I'm being honest. Now again, that could be due to the fact that, unlike Call of Duty, this game is not on the older consoles. It's only on the newer consoles. That could be just a part of that. But the fact that this game can look as good as it does on console, and also still run as good as it does on console and on PC, it runs pretty good as long as you have like a decent PC, obviously. But that's the same with a majority of newer games. There's also very little server desync that I've been experiencing. My shot registration has been pretty good for Battlefield. Obviously, it is still spotty here and there, but that's how it is in almost every Battlefield I have played. So I wouldn't really say it's a complaint about this game in particular. I'd say it's more so a complaint, I guess if you call it that, or a side effect of the game being like so big. The maps are huge, the gunfights are huge, the amount of destruction you can have is huge. It's just all a byproduct of that, really. Which, speaking of destruction, the destruction in this game is great. I'm sure you've seen clips of it all around. It's really good. I personally love it. It's not as good as Destruction 2 and Bad Company 2, which I'm pretty sure that's what it was called, right? Destruction 2. It's not as good as that, but it's probably the closest that a modern Battlefield game will get to the Bad Company 2 type of destruction that we have. Movement on this game is also extremely responsive without being like too insane. It's not like Call of Duty levels of movement. It's just good responsive movement that I can get behind using. I have no problem with movement being like how it is in Call of Duty because I'm perfectly fine with that in Call of Duty. However, I understand Battlefield is supposed to be a bit more grounded. I wouldn't say it's realistic, but you know, I'd say it's got a more realistic coat of paint than Call of Duty does, that's for sure. I'd say the weapon balancing is also pretty good in this as well. I know some people have their thoughts and opinions on like the shotguns and stuff like that, but I'll tell you, when I'm making videos on these other Battlefields while we're waiting for this game to release, while I'm sprinkling that in with COD after this beta's done, all I gotta tell you is I will show you, I will go on every Battlefield and I will show you the shotguns are good on almost every single Battlefield. The weapon balancing feels all around pretty good in this game. I would say that the shotgun, I guess, is the only thing that could be considered overpowered, I guess. But like I was saying before, when I'm going to be playing all these other Battlefields, like Battlefield 4, maybe even Battlefield 3, Bad Company if I can find servers on that, Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, the shotgun in every Battlefield has just been good. It's always been good. There's not a single Battlefield that I can think of where the shotguns are just all complete ass. They have always been, at least a majority of them, decent. So I think what a lot of it is it's a lot of people that are COD players and are used to the shotguns being pre-buns inside Call of Duty. And they come over here and the shotguns actually have decent range, they do decent damage and consistently one shot, and then they're just like thinking that it's almost overpowered, you know. Now, is it annoying to die to the shotgun? Yes. Do I end up pulling it out more than I should just because I keep dying to it and it pisses me off? Yes, I'm not gonna lie about that. But that happens to me in a lot of Battlefields. So that's not specific to this Battlefield. That happens in almost every Battlefield I play. Now, I do think when the full game comes out, we should probably have closed, I think is what I would prefer, is a closed weapon system, because being able to run a sniper and a shotgun on assault is kind of gross, I won't lie to you. All in all, though, I'd say the SMGs are pretty well balanced, the ARs are pretty well balanced. The one sniper we have is not, like, overpowered or anything like that. All in all, I'd say they kept the weapon balancing as good as they could, really. Now to get over to the, like, bad things. I wouldn't even call them bad, just like the things I would like to see changed. I'm not gonna say anything too crazy because, like I said, I do have, you know, more time over on Call of Duty. I still have like 1,000 hours into the Battlefield franchise in total, but you know, I'm not the greatest authority, I get. The first thing about the beta, obviously we only have 3 maps right now, but I would say the first thing is definitely that the maps are a bit small for a Battlefield game. The maps in the beta so far have definitely not been what I would call like Battlefield sized. S Liberation Peak would be the closest one, but the other maps like this one I'm playing right now are very close quarters. I do hope that the next map that we're going to be getting, is it set in Brooklyn or New York? I forget what it is. I think it's called like Siege of the Empire or something. I do think that map is also decently closer quarters, but there is a section of the map that's a bit longer, so that should help at least. But I do definitely hope that in total we are going to have more big maps than we do small maps when it comes to the full release of the game, because in my opinion that's definitely what Battlefield does the best, is the big maps. The small maps have always been okay, like the rush maps from Battlefield 4, was it? Those have been okay, but I've always preferred the bigger maps in Battlefield, which is definitely kind of weird because in Call of Duty I cannot stand bigger maps. For the classes, I'd say the only one I have a quote-unquote problem with is the Recon class. I'm not gonna lie to you, other than the beacon, it's kind of, it's not going to be having. It's kind of not that useful, especially if they end up keeping it on a open weapon system. I don't think that the recon class is going to be seeing much play at all. Because right now, since there is the open weapon system, we are really not seeing that many people running recon. Because why would you do that when you can just run a sniper on assault and then also get a shotgun or a M4 carbine? So I think honestly, just to benefit the recon class, it would only really be benefited if we were on a closed system. They're going to rework the recon class. I don't know what they're going to add to it, but the UAV is not useful enough. The motion sensor beacon doesn't work a lot of the time. So I do hope that when they take away the redeploy beacon, we get something in return at least. 'Cause that's going to be going on assault, which does make more sense. It is a closer range, you know, sort of class, so it does make more sense in my opinion to have the beacon on. It's going to be trying to frontline and all of that, as where the recon class is usually pretty, I won't lie, pretty stingy with where they put it. I usually put mine like the back or something, so that way I can spawn back on the mountain that I'm sniping from. There's also minor visual glitches and a few other minor bugs, which I'll put on screen right now. Also on controller, at least on PlayStation, the button layout alternate does not work properly. I have been playing on alternate, and that's why I play on every other game, whether it be alternate or in Call of Duty, it's called tactical, where you crouch with the right thumbstick and you melee with your circle or B button, depending on what controller you're using. And I'll show you once we actually load in right here, but I'll show you what happens when I go to melee. I go to melee and I crouch. Melee and crouch. But then when I press the right thumbstick, it just crouches. Circle, I'm meleeing and crouching. There's also some attachments that just don't work for me and I have to keep putting back on. For instance, if I take a muzzle off of my sniper and put on the DLC bolt, which lets you rechamber while aiming down sights, it will end up, every time I load into a game, it will take off the DLC bolt and put back on the first attachment in the muzzle section. So it basically just makes it so that way I can't use the DLC bolt without having to go into the fucking option. It just makes it so I can't use the DLC bolt without going into the menu and putting back on it every single time I join a game, which is just annoying, so I just don't use it. I have no idea if anyone else is getting that bug. I haven't really seen anyone else complain about that. That's basically most of my complaints. It's just like the HUD and stuff like that. Outside of the things that obviously we could have a bit better inside the game, like maps and stuff like that. Like I said though, this is just a beta. We are gonna have 9 launch maps in total, and I'm really hoping that we definitely have a majority of bigger maps, and then if you want smaller maps, we can just do where we like sort of like a rush type of thing where they shorten down the maps to make smaller, more fast-paced type matches, like quote-unquote Call of Duty type matches, or like even what they do in the what's it called, the domination mode right here. It's also smaller. Like, it's more Call of Duty-esque, you know? Other than that, though, I've definitely been enjoying the beta. I really hope they stay with this pace and polish it more for when the full release comes out, and I think this might be a pretty good Battlefield, I won't lie to you. I do hope for the longevity we have some sort of, like, tier 1 type system like how we have in 2042, because I think a system like that where it's not over-the-top type of... It doesn't even have to be a skin, just, like, maybe a stat tracker that gives you, like, a tier 1 badge even would be fine, because I'm definitely getting that on the defibrillator. I do not care. I have that over in Battlefield 2042, I'm gonna get that in this one. I'm gonna get it in every Battlefield I can. You know, all in all, I definitely think this is a solid game, and I can't wait for it to come out in October. I'll be recording and playing, obviously, the next beta for weekend number 2. I'm gonna play this for the rest of the day after I edit this video, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you're new. We upload every other day to every day, depending on the week, and yeah, it's been Sly. Peace.